In this Teamfight Tactics pivoting guide, we are going to take a look at what is pivoting, how do you pivot, when do you pivot, and a few examples of how do you pivot when you find the right champions. So first we are going to take a look at what is pivoting. Pivoting is basically when you switch the direction of your comp when you find a certain champion. This usually happens between level 5 and 6. Why does this happen between level 5 and 6? It is because when you find a really rare champion between level 5 and 6, it's really early where you can pivot and still build a comp around that rare champion. So level 5 and 6 is the chance to find a rare champion, because the chances of actually finding one is really rare, but if you do, it means you're ahead of your opponents and you can pivot then. So at level 5, to find a 4 cost champion, you have only a 3% chance to do it and a 0% chance to find a 5 cost unit. At level 6, you can find a 4 cost unit and you only have a 10% chance, but for a 5 cost unit, you only have a 0.5 chance to find it. So if you find one, you're really lucky, and you probably should pivot. And if you can, if you can't, sometimes you just can't pivot since your comp doesn't allow it. But most of the times your comp does allow it, and you can pivot into something that makes sense for the comp that you already built, and you can always improve it from there and build around it, since it's a lot easier to find like 2 rarity champions and 3 rarity champions than finding the 4 cost units or the 5 cost units. The thing that you need to remember about 4 cost units and 5 cost units is that they're very rare and there's only a certain number of them. For a 4 cost unit, there's only 14 of the same champion, and for a 5 cost unit, there's only 10 of the same champion. So the chances of actually 2-starring a champion is quite low, and that's why you want to pick up 4 cost units as early as possible. And mostly that's why people pivot, is because they see, oh, I have an opportunity here to get this champion to 2-star a much faster than the rest of the opponents, and that's why they pivot. And it also usually is a power spike, since a lot of the times comps need their 4 cost units to even be online, so it's really hard sometimes to get your comp online. That's why some builds is really good when they don't need that 4 cost units. So you'll see the Solus build, I think, didn't have any 4 cost units. That's why it was so good, because the units was not expensive and it wasn't any 4 costing units. So that's why it was so good. So let's take a look at a few examples at how you can pivot into some of the units that you can find at the 4 cost. I'm not gonna do the 5 cost since it is a lot harder to get it. You only get it a 0.5 chance, which is insanely lucky if you do. So let's take a look at a few units and how you can pivot and actually work with their synergies and then use them to win the game eventually. So the first unit that I really like is Leona, since he is the front line. Because he is a guardian and a noble, you can go 2 routes. You can either go guardian or noble. I usually choose noble, since finding a kill might be difficult since he's highly contested, just like Curvis. But guardian, it's easy to do. You just find a Braum and you've got guardian. Guardian gives you a nice front line, and it will buff your damage as well. So it will buff your carries at the back, make them nice and tanky. Plus you will buff each other. Braum and Leona will buff each other, which will make them nice and tanky in front. And for Leona, their counterpart is Braum, which means you can go Glacial. Glacial means you can go a Volibear carry. Maybe you stack your Volibear, give him some, he has Glacial, so you can go into Brawlers then. And you can also go Glacial Rangers, which you will stack your S and she will Glacial people because it has the Braum. and that's how I would transition and pivot then. For another thing that you can do is the next unit is Brand. He mainly gives you Elementalist, and he is the main component to Elementalist, since you can always find the Cannon and the Lysandra, and if you get lucky you can find the Anivia eventually. Maybe switch her out for the Lysandra, but if you don't, you do have options to get extra champions as you move forward. So Brand is the main key piece here that you want to look for to go Elementalist. What can Elementalist go into? Well, you can always go Elementalist Brawlers, Elementalist Glacial Rangers, or even Elementalist Ninjas Assassins. There is a lot you can go with Elementalist because it only requires 3 extra champions. And let's say you have 7 champions, you have that 3, and then you have damage, and you have that big golem, which will help you a lot. So it's really flexible. I mean, you're going to have 3 damage and then 3 elementalists plus 1 extra that you can use. So it's quite possible to go elementalist in most comps. So that's why Brand is so key. So you can basically, if you find him, you can decide, do I want to switch into elementalist, get that fat golem that can tank for me, and basically build from there. The next unit that I like to transition from is Draven. Because Draven is an Imperial and is a Blade Master, you can go 2 routes with it. You can go Imperial, which you just need another unit to get that coin flip. But mostly you want the coin flip on your Draven since he's really strong then. But if you don't, then you're kinda lost. But if you go the other route, Blade Masters, you only need 2 extra Blade Masters to buff your Draven. But you can also go Draven Blade Masters, where you can go Darius for Knights and then Blade Masters as well. So Knight Blade Masters is a comp that I have run before. It's quite good if you pull it off, but if you don't have the Draven, you can't really run it since Draven is your main source of damage. So when you get an early Draven, you're like, okay, I can commit into going Draven, but if you don't, then you don't. Also, you can get a Swain later on, and then you can go full Imperial, but good luck with Katarina, she needs items. But yeah, you can go full Imperial, then just insert the Imperial for double damage on all your Imperials. And then finally, we've got Kindred. Kindred is a Phantom and a Ranger, which means you can always play Mordekaiser, or you can play Curvis, which is really strong at the moment. Phantom can really mess up a team comp if it hits the carry, and you can also go Rangers with her. She is the main Ranger that everybody is looking for. Once they got her, you can go Rangers, but let's say you didn't pick up that Vayne early, that might be a problem. But if you did go a Noble Opener, it's still early enough for you to have the Vayne available, so you probably will have it. But if you maybe went Glacial, you already found the Ash, and then you find the Kindred, you can go Rangers obviously. So you can go a combination of Rangers backline and Glacial frontline with Braum and Volibear. Maybe some extra stuff like Leona if you find that as well. So that's basically where you can go with Kindred. So yeah, this is basically how you pivot in a game when you find a champion. It's not always cookie cutter. Sometimes you're going to have to pivot hard. Other times you just pivot a little bit to make sure that you can get your comp online and have the best chances of 2-starring your forecast units. But the main thing that you need to remember is you pivot at early levels, which means 5 or 6, so that you can build up your comp and eventually get that 2-star unit. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any examples of how you pivot with other champions, then let me know. I would love to know. I'm very much learning this game just like you. I often put my thoughts down so that I can remember them better and put into practice what I teach. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then give this video a like so that YouTube can actually show people this video. You can also subscribe for more videos just like this that I will go over my thoughts, what I think so far about Teamfight Tactics, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.